This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar. And today is September 22nd, 2025, which is the 29th day of Elul, the last day of 5785. And this has been quite a remarkable year, a year that I remember almost every day of it in a way that I haven't. I don't know if that's true for many of you out there, but I remember vividly every part of this year. And it's also the year that I came to Israel, thank God, and living in Jerusalem, living here since the end of March, and so March of 25. So this calendar made its first series of presentations this year in July, starting July 1st of this year, every day from this box, which represents the 1st of July, and it also represents the first of any what's known as in astrology, a cardinal month. A cardinal month is the first month of every season, and it's also recognized in the Jewish set of seasons, Tekufas Tammuz, Tekufas Tishrei, Tekufas Teves, and Tekufas Nisan. Those are the four cardinal, which corresponds to July-ish, around October, around January, and then April. Those are the four. Or you could say it in terms of signs. It would be Cancer, and then Libra, Capricorn, and Aries, the four cardinal signs. So I started it in July. That's my birthday month, and it was Tammuz, pretty close to it. It's like a +4, I think, meaning Tammuz, July +4. So it's like July 1st was like the 5th of Tammuz, and this was also the 1st of Tammuz as well. This is the 1st of July and the 1st of Tammuz because this is a lunar and solar calendar, and it made it all the way. It went through the whole calendar until we're at Rosh Hashanah now. So this was presented as a Mercury calendar, and Mercury, the planet Mercury, which I stopped calling it Mercury because of its association with idolatry or the deities of Roman deities, and so I call it Koach, which is the Hebrew. It's kind of an acronym for Kochav Chama, which is the Hebrew way of saying Mercury, the planet. But it's based on Mercury, and according to data that is published in many sources about the planet Mercury, it orbits the sun in 88 of our Earth days, for 88 24-hour days. This entire calendar will be completed. It's like about a 90-day, or 88, basically a 3-month period. And that's why it was called the Mercury calendar, and it still is identified with that planet. And anyway, so it's a whole Kochav Chama year, where it's one revolution around the sun. And also, what's interesting is that Mercury, the planet, is a planet that is mysterious in that not as much investigation has been done on Mercury, besides for the Messenger, and then there's this the most recent one, Bepi Colombo in 2018, and it's completing this year in December, which is interesting. 38 is the box for Rosh Hashanah. Today is the 29th, and tomorrow will be the Aleph Tishrei. So this is Aleph Tishrei, and it will also be the 1st of October. In this year, Tishrei is coming first, so we're still in September. In about a week, we're going to start October, and this will be October again. So 38 is interesting. The 38 is a rectangle with 30, and I saw someone named Bracha today. It's a Hebrew name, Bracha, means blessing. And in ordinal gematria, bracha has a numerical value of 38. And so ordinal gematria is when you count aleph as 1, bet as 2. And when you get to yud, you don't go by tens. Like you just go, yud is 10, and then kaf is 11, and then lamed is 12. You just count ordinally the whole aleph bet until taf, which is 22, because there's 22 main letters. You don't count sofits, you don't count anything other than, you don't count the extra letters, the double letters like the bet and vet. You just count, that's one letter. Shin and sin is one letter. In that case, there's 22 letters. And so that's interesting. That's how the gematria calendar should work. You see someone, you know the gematria, and it comes out that it was that day on the calendar. That's pretty much all I have for that, Rosh Hashanah. And okay, so all of Tishrei, and then September 22nd today. But I did that yesterday, so it's for 23rd is 10. And here's a good time to explain about the Jewish prime numbers, but also maybe it's a good idea to say a new development that happened today. And this is in the this is something called the infinity. I don't know if you can see it here. It's basically the number pi, and it's broken up in a certain way. It's called the infinity pi matrix, and I started working on it. Probably I will date it back to a pi day of 2015, so well over 10 years. And so it's the number pi. It's 314,159. It's broken up into 3-digit chunks, 3-digit parts, and 3 is considered the first digit. So 314 is the first number, 159, 265, 258, 979, 323, etc. Right? And today, out of all days on the calendar, the 29th day of Elul, is when the rules of the PL-89 calendar started to merge as a fusion with the infinity pi matrix time notation system. Since back in, I would say, May or June time, I had been notating time based on the numbers of pi, and then I would say maybe in the summer, midsummer, I started to do the PL-89 time notation system, but they started to merge today. The rules merged, which is very interesting. And there's a lot of rules, but the rules, it's like whatever applies here applies there. Whatever applies there applies here. And so it's very interesting how that will turn out over time. But the idea is with all of these things, is to be able to look in the grid and look at the time you're in and be able to bring forth results. It's an information system that it should help for a variety of things. And you can call it Torah codes, you can call it Bible codes, you can call it gematriatic thoughts, quantum thoughts. And the methods, I don't know if they're very original I might be just discovering something that many other people are doing, but it's a few words would apply. It's recursive is one word, which means that it repeats itself in a certain way. It mimics itself. It's kind of like self-referencing. Meta is another word. It references itself in different contexts, but it stays focused on a certain theme, and then just there may be variations on the theme, but it keeps repeating itself and recreating itself in different ways. So I think maybe fractal idea applies to it, but anyway, so that's today, Rosh Hashanah, and I can't really think of anything more. Oh yeah, the infinity prime matrix. Okay, the Jewish prime numbers in terms of September 23rd for tomorrow. So so generally in mathematics, prime numbers are counted that 2 is the first prime number, and 3 is the second prime number, 5 is the third, etc. But in Jewish calculation of prime numbers, 1 is the first prime number. And really it makes sense that if you ask any mathematician, I think, they'll say 1 is basically a prime number. It only has itself and its divisor, but it's different than the others because it doesn't have, there's some reason that separates 1 between the others. And so that's why mathematics doesn't recognize 1 as a prime number. It's just its own category. It's not, it doesn't have any factorization. Maybe that's part of it. But in the Jewish, I talked to some people who are experts in Bible codes and gematria and Jewish mathematics, and so to speak, the way of using mathematics for Torah, and that 1 needs to be considered the first prime number. And there's some very interesting results that only occur if 1 is the first prime number, and that is that it had to do with Joseph, and Joseph being either the 23rd generation or the 10th generation. It connects 10 and 23 from the first man. Let's see, if Adam to Noah was 10 generations, Noah to Abraham was 20, so it'd have to be 23 then. Okay. And Yud 10. I want to say Yesod. I forgot exactly what it was, but if you count 1 as the first prime number, then 23 will be the 10th prime number. So it makes that match up. But the reason why I'm saying that is because on this calendar, it verifies that reasoning, because in this dispensation, the 23rd day of the month is going to be in box 10. And so that also confirms the Jewish understanding that 1 is the first prime number. And so that's, and that will be for Rosh Hashanah, which is even more interesting, that and this is going into a theory that will connect the different parts of the calendar, because the 23rd day, the box 23, it always has to be the first day of the month in this calendar. It must be the first. Even if a month has, let's see, on the Gregorian has 31 days, so it just stays in box 15. And if it has 29 days on the Jewish calendar, then it stays on 6, but it adds an extra box of 15. But it never crosses the boundary of 23 being the first day, meaning 23 must be 1. And so 1 and 10 is basically the same number. I mean, you're adding a 0, but you can see the connection between 1 and 10. So you see 23 being 1, but what's interesting is that tomorrow is the 23rd day of September, and it comes out in box 10, which comports the idea of the 10th prime number being 23 in the Jewish recognition of it. So this calendar, when I say dispensation, I'm talking about different periods of time that the rule is, when do you start from here? And that's important, because if you understand astrology, or just the basic rules of astrology, it's there's different kinds of months known as, like I said before earlier, cardinal, the first of every season, fixed, which are the months that are deep rooted or fixed within the season, and then there's mutable months, which are like the months that are changing the season going into the next one. And so each of those dispensations, there were 3 of them, and for a certain amount of years, starting from 2012 up until 2020, it was 8 years, and then that was the first dispensation. The second one was the year that Corona came out, 2020 up until 24. And that was the next dispensation. And then right now, we're approaching, as we enter this new year of 5786, God willing, we're approaching the last part, the last 6 months of the final dispensation, which means that in ER of 5786, all 3 dispensations will have been completed on this calendar, which means that you could start it from months. You can start the calendar from months like September, December, March, or June. Those are mutable. That's how it, and you can start from here, and then you'll get all the days that follow, with all the gematriatic results based on that configuration. But then, when the year that Corona came out, it changed, and then months like April, July, October, and January, they became the starting point. For 4 years, it was like that. And there's a whole new set of configurations of gematriatic calculations and thoughts based on that configuration. And now, then in ER time, right after Passover of 2024, a new configuration came in the final one. It was 8 years, then 4 years, and then 2 years. And we're finishing up those 2 years, God willing, in this upcoming year. And so all the main 3 configurations or dispensations will be established. And with each of those configurations, some amazing things can be explained. Like, for example, the first configuration, 38, boxing with 38 would come out to be the first day of Av. And the first day of Av is the only known yard site in the Torah. And see, the first day now is the first day of Rosh Hashanah. It's a different configuration. But in the first dispensation, 38 would be the first of Av, and Aaron the priest had passed away on that day. What's really interesting is that if you look at the verse where it says, and Aaron passed away on the first day of the 5th month, it's going to be in verse 38, actually printed in the Chumash. So that's phenomenal that on the calendar it came out to that date, and I certainly didn't plan that. I think it's very obvious that I couldn't have planned that. So it's really interesting when you look at that verse. I think it's in Numbers chapter 33. You'll see that in verse 38 it says that was the date that Aaron passed away, and in fact on this calendar it was the first of Av, and that's just one example on one configuration. Now, each one of these time periods, these dispensations, the configurations changed, and so obviously this is not going to be the first of Av. The first of Av was over here. Was over here rather. See, in the last dispensation, the fixed months started out the calendar. So anyway, this has gone a pretty long time. So to be continued, but but that's for 38 for the first day of Rosh Hashanah, 5786.